less, 91.25, and then it dropped to 83.5. So when you look at like the top, say you look at like the top 5 from 2025, okay? You got guys that had 100, 99, 96, 94, okay? Upper 90s. And then you look at what happened on June 7th, you had 91.25, 83.5, and then it all dropped to 79, 78, 77, 75. So what was the difference? Same river, same weekend, a year later, the turbidity was different. Okay? Massively different. Okay? And when the turbidity is different in your river system, that's what's going to determine what baits you're going to be utilizing. You can't just go, and this is the thing I talk to people all the time about. When they talk about they're going to tournament fishing, and you can't just take the chatterbait everywhere you go and expect the chatterbait to put you in the top 5. First of all, everybody else and his brother's throwing the chatterbait on all these places all week long before you get there. So bass are conditioned to the chatterbait. They have been now for years. Okay, we have seen a decline. I am only speaking now. Please, no hate in the comments. I'm only speaking about my river, okay, that I fish on every single week. We have seen, and talking to the people that I know that fish every single week. These are not tournament anglers. These are some people who are guides. Some people just are like me, that we live on the river and we fish the river, okay? We have seen, collectively, amongst about 8 of us, a massive decline in chatterbait catches, just like we saw with the whopper plopper. Bass are smart. The people that tell you that bass have pee little brains and are stupid and this and that, they're idiots. Bass are smart, man. That's why you're not out catching a 20-inch smallmouth every time you go out, or an 18 or a 19. That's why you done something when you do that. When you drop 100 inches on the Potomac River like Shane Crawford did last year, that's doing something. When you drop 90 inches, like this last event, that's doing something. Like this, you're not just gonna go out and catch. If they were stupid fish, we'd all be able to go out there and catch 18, 19, 20, and 21s all the time. Doesn't happen that way, okay? They are very, very skittish right now and spooky right now in the river system because of what they've just gone through. I know people want to talk about they don't have memories, Jay. Okay. Does your dog have a memory? I mean, I always equate that to like, do cats and dogs have memories? Well, because fish are animals. I mean, just like cats and dogs. Like, you don't think that they have conditioning or responses and survival instincts like every other animal in the wild. Like, I mean, we got to give credit. I honestly, it disheartens me because to hear anglers talk so negatively about the very thing that they're catching, because I don't hear hunters talk that way about deers ever. Like, I don't. You know what I mean? It's just a really weird phenomenon that happens, and I think people need to give these bass a lot more credit. That's why I love what's happening on my watershed in terms of fish tagged, because I'm catching fish now that I know they were not tagged where I fish. They have moved down the river. And again, when you track turbidity and you track these things over time, like I have for the last 5 years, you begin to see the behavior and its relationship to turbidity. It's not just about that day going out reading a current seam, or that day recognizing that you need to downshift to like, finesse baits, maybe a tube or drop shot or something like that, like because of that specific day. That's part of it. That's fishing. But like when you take all that collectively and you put it together for a study for a watershed, you understand why it is bass are moving. And fish tag comes in tagging the fish and then can plot, oh, that bass moved 18 miles. Why did that bass move 18 miles? What were the conditions of the river system between point A and point B? What's happened to the grass? What's happened to the forage? What's happened to the water clarity? Has there been a spill? Has there been something impacting the water quality that's moving fish out? Right now, it's June. These fish should not be in their holes, but they are. That's where the big fish are being caught right now. The big fish on the Potomac River right now are being caught at Edwards Ferry and at Seneca Creek. In the deeper water, the deeper stretches, which is odd because that's not where they've been the last few years in June. So that ties back to what the weather was, right? What weather do we experience during the wintertime? What has got them kind of off their game, okay? And so when you look, if you go on Turning X and you look at these events, you can see how this has changed over time, okay, with each event. April, May, June, August, then the next year. And you look at the catches, you look at the number of anglers, the number of catches, okay? Then you go and juxtapose that with your science data, with your turbidity, your weather, your wind, rain, precipitation, all of that stuff. You get a macro view of where you should be going, right? So today, I'm looking at this. If I don't want to fight the current and I just want to do a flow, I'm going to go to Hancock or Pawpaw. If I'm looking for a rising water, okay, to throw a spinnerbait, I'm going to go, okay, and look at Point of Rocks or the gradients or slope, where I'm going to get more. If I'm looking for a current, faster current, moving current for top water because it's clear water. Because remember, when you look at turbidity, low turbidity is clear water, light penetrates deeply, fish can see further. High turbidity is muddy water, reduced visibility, and suspended clay, silt, and all that crap coming down the river. So when you see a high number turbidity, and you get to a certain level, that's when I go no-go. I'm not going there. That means I've got debris coming down from rising water. Harper's Ferry was at 10 feet 2 weeks ago. Okay, it's now back down to 2 feet. So where'd that 8 foot of water go? Of volume. It went downriver. Okay, along with everything that it took. So you want to look at your depth, yes, but turbidity is more important than water depth. And when using that turbidity factor, that's what you should be using on terms of where you want to decide to fish on the upper, or any river, but mostly the Potomac River for around here in the DMV region. But you want to do that on the new river, the Shenandoah River, the Susquehanna, Juniata, all of these river systems, you want to do that on, okay? And so that is what you want to focus on first, is let's look at what the KCFS is, okay? Cubic feet per second, and the K means thousand. So when you've got 4.61, that's 4,000, okay? Gallons of per second. Like, you got to look at it like in terms of that mentality, like compared to 1.33 or 1.68 in other places. So it really, really helps you break down a river and really, really helps you determine where you're going to fish today. All right, guys.